Welcome to the session, Mobility and Movement. My name is Nicole Scappi. I work at NHF and I have a bleeding disorder. I'm excited to introduce our expert who is the Manager of Education and Training at the National Hemophilia Foundation, where he focuses on women with bleeding disorders, the Spanish-speaking community, and mental health. John Velasco. John earned his master's in health education from Columbia University, where he focused on meditation and other Eastern forms of wellness and healing. John is also a certified yoga and meditation instructor, having practiced throughout the Americas, Europe, and Southeast Asia. We are super excited to have you here today to learn about meditation techniques that alleviate stress and anxiety that come along with a bleeding disorder. But before we begin, I wanted to quickly discuss how you can get the most out of this session. Next slide, please. And you can do that by using the chat box to write answers and questions in. The speaker will respond in the chat throughout the session. Make sure to give additional feedback at the end by filling out your evaluation. And just last, there will be a recording available of this session. So with all that being said, I'd like to pass it over to John.
Thank you so much, Nicole. I truly appreciate this opportunity to be here with our community and to start the dialogue, as we've discussed before, regarding mobility and also meditation and some of those benefits that we can all, experience from that. But before I begin, just want to let you know I have no disclosures. I work for NHF. I'm very excited about that. And as Nicole mentioned, I also teach yoga and meditation. So no disclosures there. So as we talked about in terms of this presentation, why everybody's here, just want to make sure that we're all, again, on the same page. So we know that throughout the different stages of living with a bleeding disorder, we can become immobile at one point or another. We can also struggle with some of the side effects that some of us have been dealing with from long-term treatment or just not being treated in the best way possible. So during this session, what we are going to do, what we're all going to do here, is we're going to learn a couple of those basic movements that's going to help us with our joints, help us with breathing, also help us with mobility. And then at the end of the session, we're going to have an opportunity to practice some meditation techniques. So don't worry, we're not going to be floating off the air. We're not going to be doing any Star Wars, Yoda, Matrix. We're just going to be doing, some work in our chair. This session is also designed for folks so that we can be from different mobilities. So we're going to be doing 4 different types of practices, 2 in a chair and then 2 standing up. And all I ask you all to do is just take a risk and do your best and be where you are. And we'll go from there. And again, if you have any questions, we'll be able to answer them at the end. So we're real excited to move forward. So I wanted to first begin by talking about that no one ever plans to fail. They simply fail to plan. I'll say that again. No one ever plans to fail. They simply fail to plan. So this is from Stephen Covey from his book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And what I wanted to start the session here with this quote because so many of us get so frustrated sometimes with our bodies or just with the movements of our bodies. And sometimes it's because we are not at that point where we're actually planning to move forward, right? So we get frustrated without having an actual plan. So what I wanted to offer you all today is an opportunity for you to start planning on the basic movements of the body mobility, and it'll also help with your health, your breathing, and it'll also help with your self-esteem, right? Because nobody here wants to fail, right? We all want to succeed. And the positions that I'm going to be teaching you all today are for all of us to succeed, especially with that meditation. So let's all begin to plan, right? We all plan for our treatment. We all plan for those doctor visits. So let's plan for that mobility and that meditation and to start carving out time also for us. I also tell a lot of my yoga students and my meditation students that, we're in this field because we care, right? And we want to help. But the problem sometimes is that we are so focused on helping others, those of us who are parents, who are uncles, who are caregivers, or who are in this field. We're so focused on taking care of the others that we forget to take care of ourselves. And remember, those of you who have had the opportunity to fly in a plane, they always tell you, put the oxygen mask on first before you put it on somebody else, right? So it's about taking care of yourself because the best that you are in terms of your health, your physical health and your mental health and your spiritual health, the more you're able to help others. So that's what we're going to do here today, is help ourselves and then have that opportunity to help others. And I am constantly telling Nicole over there that she's got to take better care of herself as well. So it goes both ways, right? And then people are always telling me as well, John, you got to take care of yourself, learn to say no. So we're going to be working on that today when it comes to our physical health. So being mobile is extremely important. One, I want you to first think about, and take a few seconds to think about your own mobility. What does that actually mean to be mobile? What are the times during the day that you are more mobile and that you're not mobile? Even when we're sleeping, we're mobile, right? Even when we're sleeping, we're tossing and turning around. We're going from one side to another. I know some folks jitter a lot. I'm one of those people that my foot just moves on its own. So we are designed to be mobile human beings, right? Even in our sleeps, we're mobile. And when I talk about mobility, it's not just also what's happening on the outside, but what's happening on the inside. So the better we are in terms of planning a successful life with true mobility, it helps us prevent injuries, right? Which is something that we definitely want to do. It also fixes muscle imbalance. So sometimes when you're, when you're sleeping, and you're sleeping on one side too much, that you feel a little bit imbalanced because there's not that even sleep on both sides. Or sometimes when you're walking and you have an injury on one side, on one knee or one ankle, one part of your body is aching a little bit more because of lack of treatment, whatever the case is, you usually find that there's an imbalance in the body, right? So what we want to do is find that balance. I'm one of those people that, people talk about diseases. If you look at the word disease, it's actually, there's two words, dis-ease. And it's about finding that balance, right? The disease, when there's a disease in the body, that means there's an imbalance in the body. So what medication does or treatment does is help bring back balance to the body. Same principles are with the physical self, right? We want to find that balance, right? That balance not just on both sides of our bodies, but within the muscles, our hips, our joints, etc. Also, being mobile, it also helps build more muscle. Now listen, we're not all here going to be like these muscle builders, right? That's not what I'm talking about. But building more muscle is more about having a stronger muscle. For example, I have an issue with my right ankle, right? It's just shot. It's just not good. The joints in there are just bad. I have beginnings of arthritis in there. So that's something that I know. Now, what I've been taught to do is to build the muscle in the calves and also in the thighs, right? So when we're looking at muscle, it's not so much about going to the gym, but it's about building those types of muscles that's going to take pressure off some of the weaker points in our bodies. So for me, it's the ankle. So I have to increase muscle in my calf and also in my thigh. One thing that I've learned for myself is that, hey, I used to be a runner. I used to play soccer and rugby. Not able to do that anymore. I miss running. So what I've been taught to do is when I go on a treadmill to make sure it's on an incline. The incline will help increase, it takes pressure off the knee and takes pressure off the ankle while building stability and muscle in the calf and in the thighs. So that's when I'm talking about in terms of building muscle. Now, those of you who want to go to the gym and build those muscles, go right ahead. Make sure you talk to a trainer so you're doing it the best way possible for your life. And then to wrap all this together, it's more about the quality of life. And that's why we're here. That's what this conference is all about. It's about helping you build a better quality of life with knowledge. And the knowledge that I'm going to share with you all today, you might buy all into it. You might pick and choose part of it. But we want you here. NHF truly believes in that quality of life. So that's what we're looking to do here. And again, if you have any questions, just wait to the end. You can send them to us and we'll wrap it up with some of your questions. All right, so when we're talking about muscle, we also have to understand that every muscle in the body is surrounded by muscles that produce and control movement. So every muscle in the body is surrounded by muscles that produce and control movement. So for example, I want you all to take a moment to take out your hand and make a fist, right? and just make a fist, right? And now what I want you to do is just pump that fist. So as you pump that fist, you might actually see the forearm start pumping. Some of you might actually see the calf starting to pump. So what I want you to understand is that by moving the fingers, right, because we have muscles in our hands, by moving the muscles in our hands and in our fingers, that connects with the muscle in our forearm, right? It also connects with the muscles in our biceps and in our triceps. So just even doing something simple like that gives you the example of how all of our muscles are interrelated and how they are so important. And later on, we're going to look at the connection of all those muscles for mobility and for better health. So your body is designed to move. You know, even when we were hunters and gatherers, our bodies were designed to go hunt and to go gather food. And one of the most fascinating things for me is childbirth, and I will never have that experience. But if you think about what the body does during childbirth, and even before that, what the body does to prepare to give life, how those internal organs on their own just begin to move to help not just create space, but to create that energy to give life. And that process of giving life, right, that process of birth is truly phenomenal. So the body in itself is designed in its true creation to keep moving. So whether for working out, whether for going to work, whether we are, you know, spending time with our loved ones and we're going for a walk, all of those things is what that quality of life is, and all of those things are what the body is meant to do. You know, I'm very grateful that I have, my parents are still alive, and my dad has always taught me that when he stops moving, that's when he knows he's in trouble. So this man is in his late 70s. He's had his major aorta replaced. He's a cancer survivor, amongst a stroke survivor. This man is incredible, has incredible strength. And he wakes up every morning around 6 o'clock and goes for a 3 to 5 mile walk every day with my stepmom. So he knows that the body is important to move, not just for the blood flow, but for his mind and for his spirit. And even in his condition, now mind you, he's not running, he's walking, he's taking his time. So that to me also reminds me of just how important it is through our lifespan to make sure that we have those moments of mobility. So when one part of the body moves, it can influence motion at all other parts of the body, right? So that's what we were talking about with the fists, right? So if you lift your arm here, when you lift your arm here, you're going to see the physical movement, not just of the biceps and the shoulders, but also the upper back, right? So all of our muscles are intertwined and interconnected. And that's really important for us to be mindful of when we're looking at true mobility. And then my favorite is the fascia, right? We have to remember what the fascia is. And the fascia is the thin layer of skin that covers all of our muscles and all of our joints, right? It covers our entire body. What's important about that is that when we are stretching, it helps the fascia also expand and stretch, which also helps the muscles to stretch. If we're just focusing on the muscles and we're not stretching, we're not releasing and letting that skin to be nice and elastic, then we can actually do harm. And there are times that you can actually rip the fascia, and that can cause certain diseases, right? Again, an imbalance in the body because we ripped something, we broke something up. It also can cause some aches and pains. So we want to make sure that we're mindful of the fascia. And when I bring up the fascia in the session, it's more about that, not so much about the mobility, but stretching out. You know, some of you might remember from your phys ed teachers telling, oh, it's important to stretch, it's important to stretch, or those of you who've had coaches, it's important to stretch. Well, it's not because they're saying it, it's actually because it's actually true. The fascia helps protect and maintain the muscles, the blood vessels. We want to make sure that it's nice and healthy through stretching. Then, the healthier the stretch, the healthier the muscles, the least amount of injury that we're going to be able to cause to the body. So injuries related to the body because of loss of mobility can be preventable, right? So that's why what I talked about a little bit earlier about that stretching. That stretching is really important. Everything that we're going to do today, you know, I'll show you not just the benefits of it, but how to make sure that you do it properly without risk of injury. All right, so right now what we're going to do is let's get to practice. So we're going to do 4 practice sessions here, very small. 2 are going to be in a chair and 2 are going to be standing up. So just come with me in my home here. So in the chair, and it doesn't matter what kind of chair you're in, we can all do this. If you can't get your feet on the earth, awesome. If you can't get your feet on the earth, no problem, right? This is all about you being where you are today, right? Not where you were yesterday, not where you're going to be tomorrow, but be in the present moment. So what we're going to do first is we're going to open up our chest area and our shoulders. From a yoga perspective, we call this opening up our heart chakra, which brings in a little bit of love and compassion into our world and into our lives. And we all could use a little bit more love and compassion, especially during these times in the history that we are living. But I will tell you, what a great time to be alive, because we are alive. We had that opportunity to better ourselves and learn from the conditions around us, whatever that means. All right, so what we're going to do is raise both of our arms up towards the sky. So even doing this movement is pretty big for a lot of people, right? By doing this movement, we're moving the fascia that's on our sides that are covering our chest, our ribs. We're also moving the fascia in our shoulders and in our arms. So even doing this movement can be a lot for some folks. So what I want you to do now is both of your hands are facing each other. Now, bring your shoulder blades together towards the back. So even doing that movement here opens up that chest, right? Now, for this practice here, I want you to keep your chin parallel with the earth. Many times we bring our chin down. I promise you the earth is not going to go anywhere. But during these days, who knows what's going to be happening? But right now, the earth is not going to go anywhere. So keep your chin up, raise both of your arms up towards the sky. Bring the shoulder blades together towards the back. Now bend the left elbow. And now take the right hand and bring it on top of that elbow. Again, keep the chin parallel with the earth. Squeeze the shoulder blades together towards the back. And just breathe. Deep inhale, filling the belly. And deep exhale. Still squeezing the shoulder blades together towards the back. You can close your eyes or keep your chin parallel with the earth. And now what I want you to do is tuck your tailbone in and up and engage your core. So this movement here is for the back, for the shoulders, and for that heart. Giving space, right? We want to bring some space into our lives. All right, again, we're going to raise both of our arms up. This time we're going to bend the right elbow, taking the left hand, bring it on top of that elbow. Squeeze the shoulder blades together towards the back, lift the chin. Imagining as if somebody's pulling onto the crown of your head up towards the sky. This is really good for our shoulders, our elbows, increasing blood flow to that area. Deep inhale. And deep exhale, raise both of your arms up towards the sky and bring your hands down onto your lap. So some of you might actually even feel some of that heat, right? When we're building heat, when I talk about heat, that heat is just energy, right? That body is building that energy of heat. And it depends on what you do with that, right? But it's also releasing energy. And when we release energy, it helps release any buildup that's in our blood system and that's also in our joints or in our muscles. The second movement that we're going to do in our chair is a nice little twist. Now, twists are really important, not just for our lower spine, but it's also important on where we're doing the twist. The twist that we're going to do in today's practice is going to put some pressure on your liver and your kidneys and on your upper intestines. Really good for detoxing. Not that anybody here needs a detox, but it's always going to put some extra pressure on that to help engage those organs, those vital organs, and also helps reactivate them. It's kind of like a wake-up call. It's like saying, all right, liver, wake up. All right, kidneys, wake up. All right, upper intestines, wake up and do your thing, right? So many of us are sitting down so much or not moving, so that's going to give us that opportunity. We're going to do it again in the chair. All you're going to do is raise both of your arms up towards the sky, and you're going to turn over towards the right. We're going to turn over towards the right, and then if you can look over towards the right side, or if you can look over the right shoulder, beautiful. So raise both of your arms up towards the sky, turn over towards the right. Now we're going to take the left hand and bring it onto the thigh, or if you can, take the left hand and grab the bottoms of your chair. We're going to take the right arm and bring it behind us, so the knees are still facing forward. It's just the upper torso that is twisting. We're going to take an inhale, raise the spine up, and then exhale, twist over towards the right. Keeping the chin parallel with the earth, looking at the wall or looking behind you over the shoulder. Again, we're going to raise the spine up on the inhale, and then exhale, twist over towards the right. Just find your breath here. Take a nice deep inhale and deep exhale and unwind. Let's do that on the other side. Raise both of your arms up. This time, take the right hand, bring it on top of the left thigh or the bottom of the bottom of the seat of the chair. Take your left hand, bring it behind you. Now listen, if this is all you do here, that's perfect. Again, it's about being where you are, right? If you can twist, perfect too. Great. So we're going to take an inhale, raise the spine up, and then exhale, twist it over towards the left. Remember, any mobility that you do is the best type of mobility. We got to be where we are today. So again, inhale up, and then exhale, twist over towards the left. And breathe. And then breathe again. And slowly coming back to center, raise your arms up, just wiggle those hands, wiggle those arms, and bring the hands down. All I ask you to do now is ask yourself, how do you feel? So ask yourself, how do you feel? How did that feel, right? It's not about achieving the goal, but it's more about working towards the goal. Remember, those of you who've seen The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy always had the power to get back home, but she had to go through that experience. She had to go through that journey. She even had to meet those green monkeys, right? That was all part of her process. So that is your process, right? You know, what are the green monkeys in your life? Work through them, and then move forward. It's not so much about getting back to Kansas. It's more about the journey that you need to do to get there, whatever that means. All right, so now what we're going to do is show you two movements standing up. Again, do what you can, be where you are. We're in this together. So I'm going to tilt my camera down just so you can see the placement on my feet. So what we want to do is start off with both of our feet parallel with each other. And we want to make sure that our knees are slightly bent. So some of us, when we stand, we concave our knees, right? And we look like we're going to go skiing, right? This is not about skiing. And when you do this, it might look good, but you're actually putting a lot of pressure on your kneecaps, right? And on the joints right here. We want to alleviate any type of injury. So when I say soften the knees, just keep the knees slightly bent, just slightly, not too much bent, just slightly bent. Want to make sure that you're still seeing your toes, so not totally bent. And also look down at your feet and make sure that your feet or your shoes are nice and parallel with each other. Sometimes our toes are out, sometimes our heels are out, perfectly fine. But for today, for balance, remember we're talking about balance, we want to make sure that both of our feet are rooted into the earth. We're going to raise our arms up towards the sky, palms to touch, and then slowly come forward to a nice forward bend. So this forward bend here, I'll do it sideways here. The knees are slightly bent, not too bent, just slightly bent. And bring your hands onto the earth if you can. If not, bring them onto your shins or bring them onto your thighs. But be where you are and do what you can. And just breathe here. We're going to grab opposite elbows. We're just going to twist from side to side. So when we twist from side to side, we want to make sure that our feet are rooted into the earth. And this helps release any energy in our lower back, especially those of us who have lower back problems. This here is really nice, just movement, just to move that energy from side to side. Bring your hands onto your shins, raise the torso halfway up, look up, and then come back down with the exhale, let it all out. Tuck the chin towards the chest, and imagining as if you're coming up one vertebrae at a time, but as you come up, I want you to focus on your core, right where your belly button is, We're going to come up one vertebrae at a time, keep the knees slightly bent, use these muscles right here. My chin is still tucked. And then as I come up, then I bring up the chin. I'm going to shake that all out, right? So that is good. That movement there is good for our spine. It's also good for our legs and for stability. Now, we're going to do one last position, and that's to build some great fire, right? And when we build fire, it also builds confidence. We're not going to hold this position for too long, but you can do this on your own for as long as you want. So what we're going to do here, same thing that as we did before, we're going to inhale our arms up towards the sky and then come down to a nice bend here. Bring your arms behind your lower back if you can, or you can just bring your hands back here. But if you can clasp your hands together, that's wonderful. Tuck the chin, bend the knees. And now raise your chin and then raise the arms up. So this position is called a chair pose, right? So I'll show you from this angle here. So if somebody walked in, they'd be able to sit right here in my chair that I created, right? This is a great fire pose as well. When you hold this position for more than a minute, you're going to start feeling some fire. When I teach this position in a yoga class, people start getting angry with me. And then I tell them, okay, give me all your anger, I can take it, but release that anger, right? We want to release that energy. So just release your energy. If you're still holding this position, good for you. Now, if you want to go a little bit deeper, bring both of your hands into your heart chakra. And now take your left elbow and bring it over towards the right knee and look over the right shoulder. Find your breath here. When I say find your breath, this just means breathe. Come back to center and let's go over towards the other side. Find your breath. Remember to breathe. Coming back to center, inhale. Exhale, slowly come forward to a nice forward bend. Again, just like we did before, soften the knees, tuck the chin towards the chest. Engage your core, your center, right where your belly button is. And slowly coming up, one vertebrae at a time, with your chin being the last thing to come up. Raise your arms up towards the sky, hands in front of your heart, inhale, and then exhale and just let that all out. And then again, I'm going to ask you, how do you feel? Right, so ask yourself, how do you feel? Any type of mobility is really important. That mobility helps us become a better version of ourselves, helps us become healthier, not just physically, but also mentally. Listen, we are going through a time where there's a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress and a lot of unknown. And most of that is because there's so many things that are out of our control. But one thing that you have control over are your thoughts. You have control over your breath, and you have control over most of your body. So let's focus on what we do have control over, that physical self, and that mind and the breath, which leads me to our next section. And the next session is going to be about meditation. So meditation is a practice in awareness and getting a healthy sense of perspective. Now, I know I have this picture of this beautiful woman here sitting with her, the legs crisscrossed, her hands on her knees. Yes, that's the very stereotypical image of meditation. But meditation basically is about being singly focused. And that's what we're going to work on today. You're not trying to turn off your thoughts. What we're actually learning to do here is learn to observe them, but without judgment, which is hard, right? So it's about just acknowledging the thoughts, but not having any judgment. And then eventually, you may start to understand those thoughts from a different perspective. Think about it as clouds, right? Clouds exist. Now, you can look at a cloud, and as I was a kid, and I know Nicole did this too, we would look at clouds and we would be like, oh, that looks like a deer. Oh, that looks like a rabbit. Oh, that looks like an anvil, right? That's kind of like putting those thoughts on there, as opposed to just saying, oh, look, there's a cloud. Oh, look, there's another cloud. Oh, wow, look at the sky. That blue sky and that light is the absence of the clouds. And those clouds are your thoughts. So the idea is about removing, acknowledging those thoughts, removing those thoughts so you can focus on the sky. Focus on the light and focus on that blueness of that beautiful sky. So again, and this is one of my favorite authors, his name is Eckhart Tolle, highly recommend him, highly recommend any of his books. My favorite book of his is called A New Earth. It took me 9 months to read this book, but definitely worth, if you wanted to learn a little bit more about meditation and mindfulness, great book. But one of his famous quotes is, observe your thoughts, but don't believe them. So again, observe the thoughts, but don't believe them, right? You are not your thoughts. You are more than your thoughts, right? You are incredible, beautiful, strong human beings, right? Full of compassion. That's what we want to connect with. All right, so let's practice here. So all you're going to do here is bring your hands on top of your thighs. I'll move back a little bit for you all. Take your hands, bring them on your thighs. Bring your feet on the earth. Chin is parallel with the earth. The crown of our heads up towards the sky. And all you're going to do is breathe. Feel free to close your eyes. Bring your eyes to a nice soft gaze, whatever's comfortable for you. Take a nice deep inhale and deep exhale, let it all out. Again, a nice deep inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Now just take your hands, bring them on your belly. Don't worry, no one's watching. And when we take an inhale, I want your belly to expand, all right? So take a nice deep inhale, allowing the belly to expand. And exhale, allow the belly to go all the way back. One more time. Inhale, allowing the belly to expand. And exhale, allowing the belly to go back. Hands back on your laps, palms down or palms up. If you're sitting in a chair, feel your spine on the back of the chair. Feel your beautiful buttocks pressing down in the chair. Feel free to bring a beautiful smile towards that beautiful face of yours. As you bring your focus towards your forehead and relax the forehead. Bring your focus now towards your jaw. As you release the lower jaw, allowing for some space to occur between the lips, and just move the jaw from side to side. Let the jaw drop slightly and bring your awareness towards your lips, feeling the temperature of the air, the taste of the air. Bring your focus now towards your shoulders. Allow the shoulders to melt down into your beautiful body. Just be mindful of the breath. As you breathe in, be mindful as you're breathing in. And just say breathe in, inside. And as you exhale, just say exhale internally. Again, inhale and exhale. And as thoughts come into your mind, acknowledge those thoughts and then let them go. Thinking of them as clouds in the sky. Within a few breaths, they will dissipate, and you'll discover that light within. Very gently, very compassionately, slowly begin to wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingertips. Begin to observe the sounds in your room. Remember to bring a beautiful smile towards your face. And when you're ready, slowly open your eyes. So my question then is, how do you feel? Taking those moments to just breathe and to be single focused can change your whole day can change your mood. And it's not just about sitting in a chair. When you're washing dishes, are you really washing dishes, or are you thinking about the food you just ate or what you have to do next? When you're washing dishes, are you mindful of the water in your hands and the plates in your hands, or are you thinking about something else? When we're driving, right, are we driving about where we have to go, what we just did, or what we got to do, what we're thinking about? Or are you actually really driving, feeling the hands on the steering wheel, being mindful of what you're looking at, the car in front of you, the lights? Meditation is about being single focused. And there's some great websites out there. And there's some great applications that you can do. There's two that I actually use almost every day. One of them is called Headspace, and the other one's called Calm. Headspace and Calm are two great websites, or two great applications apps on your phone that you can use that have like 30-second all the way up to 1 hour videos and sounds that you can actually listen to that'll help you meditate. And then if you want to do some videos, John Kabat-Zinn is somebody who I highly recommend. Eckhart Tolle, who's the book I was telling you about. And then, yes, believe it or not, Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey teamed up with Deepak Chopra to create free online meditation courses for everyone. So from 15 minutes to 10 minutes, even if it's just taking 1 minute, removing yourself, catching your breath, focusing on your breath, releasing any thought, helps to improve your lives and your daily activities. I want to thank you so very much for taking the time and for being part of our first virtual conference. You know, here at NHF, we're so excited to offer this to you and that anybody around the world can access these. So remember, you can create the possibilities for the best health and wellness of your lives. It doesn't start on a Monday. It doesn't start on an anniversary or on New Year's. It starts this very moment. And what you were able to do with me today and with Nicole was part of that process. So I encourage you to keep reading, to keep exploring, and to keep creating those possibilities for better movement, optimal health, balance, and focusing on your breath. Thank you so very much, everyone. I look forward to hopefully seeing you in other virtual conferences and summits that we have coming up, and even our Educational for Empowerment programs that we're offering throughout the country. And then also, hopefully, in the near future, we'll be able to see each other soon. But until then, be good to yourself, be good to someone else. Thank you so very much, Nicole. I'll hand it back to you.
All right. Thank you so very much, John. And if I could ask you, would you mind moving to the last slide, please?
Absolutely.
You're the best. Well, before we talk about the slide, I just want to thank you so much, John, for teaching us about the importance of movement and mobility, as well as showing us some techniques to help alleviate stress and anxiety. I'm not sure how everyone else is feeling, but I'm feeling pretty relaxed after that. But we do have a very short amount of time left. However, I would like to, if you're okay with that, John, ask you a quick question before we conclude today. Perfect. So my question for you is, what advice would you give to someone who has tried yoga or meditation and were unsuccessful with it before? Because I know that I'm one of the folks that may be guilty of that learning from you, I've changed my mindset about these. But before I met you, I felt like this is just not for me. I can't focus. So what would you say to the folks that were like the old me?
Well, that old you helped you become the new you. So remember that. So there's this great quote that says that somebody comes up to somebody and says, I don't have 20 minutes to meditate. What should I do? And the person actually says, meditate for an hour. So think about it. I don't have time to meditate. I don't have 20 minutes. And the answer was, meditate more, right? So it's about finding what's best for you and in the time frame for you. So yes, Nicole, I'm sure meditation and yoga is not for a lot of folks, but find what is for you. What are those things that can help bring better mobility into your lives and also more focus? So maybe meditation isn't for you. Go out and garden. Be mindful of the dirt. Be mindful of when you're going to the beach, those of you who have a beach near you or a river or a lake. But get yourself out of your current situation, socially distanced, of course, and connect with another realm of elements that are around you. And then keep trying. It's kind of like when you go to school, You might take several math classes and you might not like all your math teachers, but there's that one math teacher that you actually connect with. Sometimes it's not the actual practice, but it's actually the avenue that you get to that practice. So that's why I named a couple of those meditators that for you to explore. You may connect more with one person than another. You may connect with one activity more than another. But if nothing else, go for a walk. Get out of your home, get out of your work environment, and just go for a walk, even if it's for 5 minutes, even if it's for 1 minute. Start slow and build up. Same thing with meditation. Meditate for 1 minute and then build it up. Any type of exercise starts from somewhere, and the will that you have is going to be the will that's going to move you forward into your most optimal health possible. Really good question, Nicole. Thanks for asking that.
That was excellent advice. Wow, excellent advice. Well, looking at the time, unfortunately, it is that time today, but I'd like to, again, thank you, John, so much for your time today, as well as all the work that you put into this session. We truly appreciate your dedication to the community. And to the folks watching at home, thank you so much for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your conference. Take care.
Make sure you fill out the evaluations.
Yes, fill out your evaluation. Thanks, John.